Order. Notice, Strafford Delegation Chair Alan Howland has called a meeting of the Executive Committee for Friday, December 5th, 2025 at 9 a.m. with access via Zoom from the Strafford County Cafe Conference Room, lower level, William A. Grimes Justice Administration Building, 259 County Farm Road, Dover, New Hampshire. And the agenda was sent out. And we welcome everybody. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence.
Okay. Okay, next up, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Bailey,
Aye.
Burnham. Here. DeRoy.
Here.
Corrigan,
Here.
Howard. Lamontagne.
Here.
Here, Lloyd,
Absent.
Enza,
He's on her way.
Schmidt,
Here.
Southworth,
Here.
Wall, and Howland.
Here. Okay, next up, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the executive committee meeting of September 30th, 2025. Motion is made by Representative Howard, seconded by Representative Southworth. Are there any changes or things that need to be done to the minutes? I think Shannon sent them out long ago, but I'm unsure if anyone had any other changes.
Okay.
Anyone? Okay, with that, I believe we can probably just take a voice vote. All those in favor of approval of the September 30th, 2025 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It's unanimous. Next up is approval of a tax anticipatory borrowing note up to the amount of $30 million for the first 6 months of 2026.
You have to recognize the treasurer, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I will recognize the treasurer.
I'm Pam Arnold, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the treasurer, and I'd like to make a recommendation that we borrow $30 million. We paid at the end of the year, December 31st. This will take us through this year, and then we'll do a second one later on. So we kind of the budget and go through that. So right now, it's $30 million that we paid December 31st.
Are there any questions for the treasurer?
I'll make the motion so we can have a discussion.
Excellent. Motion
To
to,
authorize the commissioners to obtain tax anticipation notes for up to $30 million for the first 6 months of 2026. And this is part of the usual pattern, I think, most people.
is there a second? Seconded by Representative Howard. Okay, discussion. Any questions for the treasurer?
Again, I would like to
Representative-
voice my opposition to doing $30 million every 6 months. I think it's time that we change the way we're doing our taxes and have the town start sending in their money ahead of time so that now we're charging all of our citizens interest. They don't need to be paying interest on money that we borrow.
Thank you. Excuse me, Administrator Howard.
Change in statute. That would be something that you could
Yeah.
propose as a change in the statute, because the statute requires us to do it the way we're doing it.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for the treasurer? With that, then I will large sum of money. I will have the clerk call a roll.
Bailey,
Hey,
Burnham. No. DeRoy,
No,
Corrigan,
yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Lamontaine. Yes. Westbrook, yes. Schmidt,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
and Howland.
Yes, so the motion passes. I have 7 to 3. Is that correct?
Yes.
That brings us then to, number 7. Motion to allow the county commissioners to pay those county expenditures statutorily required be paid until the delegation approves the 2026 budget.
So moved.
That's a normal process. We don't add any positions, we don't make any changes in the budget, we simply carry on the budget until such time as the delegation makes the approval.
Okay, so I believe the motion was made by Representative Smith. Is there a second? Second by Representative Southworth. Are there any other questions about the paying the expenditures?
Or just the discussion. This is a requirement,
Okay,
so.
We have one person entering now, Mike Learman.
okay. And of course, now we have another representative. All right, so we, just to get you up to charge, the motion is to allow the county commissioners to pay the county expenditures statutorily required to be paid until the delegation approves the 2026 budget. I'll do this as a roll.
Do you need the motion and second for that?
The motion was made by Representative Schmidt. It was
For this one?
seconded by Representative Southworth.
Okay.
I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Bailey,
Hey.
Burnham,
no,
DeRoy,
no,
Corrigan,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Lamontaine. Yes. Westbrook, yes. Potenza,
no,
Schmidt,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
and Howland.
Yes. Motion passes 7 to 4. That brings us to number 8, which is to review and approve the third quarter 2025 budget report. The big spreadsheet was sent out that had line items, but I can have, just to simplify it, you can pull it up and go line, but I think if we had the administrative hour, what are the highlights of where we are in the third quarter?
Yeah, I think in this quarter, what I did in the summary page, at the beginning was just to highlight the capital items that were approved. One thing I can add to this is that the roof is totally done and the roof is almost totally reimbursed. The Gopher, because of our cash situation, Gopher was kind enough to reimburse us based on bills.
Glenn?
Based on bills, and they're holding back $100,000, so as soon as we pay the vendor, as soon as we show proof that the vendor's cashed the check, they'll give us that last $100,000. But they were very kind at, paying off remittances, which they usually don't do, but I think they also need to get rid of their money by the end of the year, so it worked out good for both of us, and they were wonderful to work with. And again, as I put in the cover memo, thank you to Representative Potenza for getting us that money. I also put in the cover memo, thanking your husband. He helped us acquire some parts, items that we needed at the nursing home for the sewer system. You can no longer use since we had the pipes relined, you can no longer use a snake if there is any backup. You have to use a water jet, and he probably saved us $6,000 by finding us a water jet that was on sale. So I wanted to note in the cover memo that I appreciated that also.
Any other questions about third quarter?
I think it would be appropriate for I read the note and saw that Mr. Penza had, provided this assistance, and so I think the executive committee ought to acknowledge that, and thank the gratitude of the body delegation for his assistance in that.
Anyone that saves us money, it's always a good thing.
This is a local town, and he was very kind and helpful and timely. So I just wanted to put it in the cover memo that we appreciate it.
And do you have a way when this happens that you do acknowledge it, a letter or note to the person or something?
We will. I honestly just learned about it
Yeah.
just as I was drafting the cover memo for the commissioners to review. So I need to get didn't learn the details from Doug, our maintenance
Mhm.
director. So I'll get the exact thing and the commissioners will sign a letter.
Yeah, I see it as coming from you
I'll take care of it.
with our support.
Just as a note, this is my husband's expertise. It's been his expertise for more than 20 years. He's been working with Doug directly. There's tons of ways that we can try to save the county money. And he's a great employee and a great asset to the county. So, they have a lot of really great conversations. So, my husband has access to information that he doesn't necessarily have. So, yeah, before the county purchases anything that has to do with HVAC, electrical, anything that has to do with anything that has in that space. Talking to my husband is a very good thing.
Yeah, and Doug's been, and I don't mean this in an inappropriate way, Doug's been using them on a regular basis.
No, I mean, my take is, we have some challenging buildings, and HVAC in an old building is complex, especially trying to retrofit it. So again, we really appreciate any help. Is there anything else, that I thought it was a fairly detailed report that was sent out. It went department by department. You could see any changes that occurred. The two substantive ones that I noticed. One is that we no longer are receiving revenue for ICE transport.
Transports, that's correct. ICE has hired a company to do their transports. Chris, what's the name of that company? Paragon? Paragon.
Yep.
Paragon's the name of the company, and it's not just our transports, it's a nationwide entity that's doing their transports. So they will move them from wherever the ladies and gentlemen that have been arrested, they will move them from there to whatever Air Force base or whatever base they're being flown out of, which in this case is Hanscom.
And then the only other thing I noticed, and I always feel like I'm pointing at, it was like overtime, right? There's overtime that came, but you think that's on the way down, or that's just part of life?
I do think it's on the way down. I'm happy to report that we are going to be fully staffed once I have someone come off of on the job training, which is exactly what we set out to do. And I remember hearing Representative Harrington say, perhaps we might want to start paying a little bit more to attract some people in. That's exactly what we did through effective negotiation. And now we are almost fully staffed. Now, the reason why we have overtime, because I'm sure you're thinking, why are you getting overtime when it's fully staffed? I still have people who are out. I had, in anticipation of these questions. I had one staff member out with cardiac issues, one staff out with a knee replacement, one staff out with a back surgery, one with torn meniscus, and then I have another one with elbow complications, some of which are in fact job related. So I still have people that are out, and that requires us to fill those positions. In addition to that, all of those new hires that I'm bringing in, they have to go to the academy. And when they go to the academy, I have to pay somebody to work the shift that they otherwise would work. So it just so happens that there's been an abundance of that over the past quarter. And that's why all of these injuries are over the past quarter. And so that's why that overtime was there.
But it starts with the fact that we were 20 positions down
That's correct.
at the start of the year. So with your approval of last year's budget, we filled those 20 positions as was predicted and as was encouraged by Representative Harrington. Sorry, he's not here today to hit.
Right.
And Chris was like all ready to be proud to tell him that is correct.
Representative Southwood, do you have a question?
Yes, we went over this before. Basically, in terms of liability, you have to be fully staffed. So there's really no question about, I know before in different discussions, they've said, what if we didn't do the overtime? But we'd have a lot of liability.
We would have liability, and while I will recognize that the deliberate indifference claim that gets made is a huge jump for the plaintiff, in any of those cases. We have historically sought out to be a leader in operations in the state of New Hampshire. And I think that the way in which we approach acquiring qualified candidates, recognizing the job that they do and the fact that they should be compensated for that job speaks to the negotiation that happened with our union, the recognition of the commissioners and the support that we get from the executive council and the board of county, and the full delegation.
Thank you.
All right, with that, again, it looked like for once there's no really bad news, which is good news, so I'll take that. That's the quarter. So I need a motion to approve and accept the third quarter budget report as presented.
So move.
Moved by Representative Southworth. Seconded by Representative Wall. Oh, you want to second it?
No.
We'll do it. And this is an easy one. I think we can do a roll call. All those in favor of approving the third quarter budget as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, well, we're almost there. Motion passes. Wow. So it's 11 to 1, is that right?
I'll recall.
That's the new math. Okay. That brings us to number 9, which is receiving the warming center update. Unfortunately, Commissioner McLaris is having a medical procedure this morning.
I can tell you that the bids close today for a vendor to build the warming center. That's all I can tell you, because we haven't opened them. And then, of course, it's still up to the 3 cities to appropriate their share of the funds. I know it's on the agenda for Dover. I think for next week, if I'm correct.
I thought it was like the 12th or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Somewhere
next
around
week.
there.
And I'm not sure when it will be on the agenda for Rochester and Somersworth. Obviously, it's a 3-legged stool. If one says no, then the project's over. But they have given tentative approval. And at that tentative approval, there was a tentative estimate for the cost of the building. We don't know if, when we open the bids today, how that cost is gonna work out.
All right, I'll stop myself. Right. Does anyone have, I mean, I'm gonna apologize because there's a lot going on in terms of what this project is. And I don't think a lot of the delegation understands all the moving parts of it yet, because it's really kind of fluid. That being said, this is an opportunity. And does anyone have a question right now that they can ask that hopefully the administrator or the commissioners can answer?
Do you know how many bids have come in?
I don't, they were still coming in when we came downstairs. They closed at 9,
Yeah.
so when we came down, there was still people walking them in.
Literally.
Literally, my rough guesstimate is at least a half a dozen. Based on the people that were walking in with packages in their hand.
Other questions? I think, as I say, I would hope that we can put together, the next time that the full delegation is gonna meet is not gonna be until January. and we'll clearly have a better picture of it. But I think it's important that everybody understands the financing of all the nuts and bolts details, of the financing, and then the building itself. And, that January delegation meeting will be, I think, the public hearing when you do it for the budget, right? And I would wonder if we could carve a little bit of time out in our agenda so that we can go in more detail. And that we give the delegation before that meeting, kind of what I'm saying, what are the obligations of the communities financially to the project? What does it kind of look like and where does it reside in our, on the site plan?
In advance of that, I'll ask the commissioners for the authority to send out a letter to everybody. So we know who bid, all the bid prices and, which will probably take a couple of weeks for us to review the bids.
Yeah.
Because it's a request for proposal.
Yeah,
So it's gonna take a little while to review those. We'll send out the information in advance so that the delegation will be prepared to ask questions at the January meeting or anytime in between.
Representative Southwood.
Also, could you, because the news comes and goes, send us a notice when all three cities have approved it? So we aren't wondering.
That was what I was hoping,
Yeah.
is that I would.
Oh, that would be part of
I
the,
would have all that information and be
Okay.
able to send that out.
but you might have the other first, but you've got to have the approval.
Yeah, if one of those cities does not approve, then the whole project goes.
Right.
Representative,
Yeah, what's the significance of calling it a warming center instead of a shelter in terms of the services?
Because it's
provided?
truly a warming center. It will open when the weather dictates it to open. And that's decided by, it'll be, right now, the person who seems to be taking the lead is Perry Plummer, the chief in Dover. However, he coordinates with the other emergency managers from Somersworth and Rochester, and also the welfare directors from those communities. They all work together and they dictate when it will be open. Now, the other thing I wrote in the memo is that we have applied in cooperation with Community Action for a $500,000 grant, which could be used to offset the running of that, of the warming center at Wheeland Pond, because it has to be spent by the 30th of June of 2026. I don't know, I thought we put together a pretty strong grant. I'm hopeful. And interestingly enough, it's leftover COVID money. But we've, and I wish I could tell you it was me, but I can tell you that I feel strongly that Betsy Andrews Parker and her team put together a very comprehensive tie back to COVID and the homeless situation. I thought they did a great job with that. We added a couple, Diane, our finance director, added some things, and if that is approved, then we wouldn't need the operating contributions for this year from Rochester and Dover. And Somersworth doesn't contribute because, they manage the police and fire and EMT for Wheeland Pond, and that's an agreement between the three cities. It has nothing to do with the county, and the county makes no contribution. The county gets $100,000 from the state, and that's the first $100,000 that's used towards the vendor that was picked to operate the warming center.
Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, last night was pretty cold. We got a couple more very cold nights coming up. And I did see a notice stating that the current warming shelter on Willing Pond, Willing Pond, is operating.
Yes, sir.
And so presumably they were open last night.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
And they have been open a couple of days prior,
Right,
certainly the
probably.
day of the snowstorm and other times.
Okay,
And
good.
I stopped by, it's kind of on my way home.
So, since Carrie Conway no longer works for the county, she was our liaison. I'm helping out with the liaison part because that was part of her job and I've taken over her job. And, so, I've stopped by a couple, sometimes it's just to stop in the parking lot and see how things are going. Sometimes it's to go inside. I'm gonna probably transition some of that responsibility over to Dee Brown from the nursing home, who's gonna work with me on being available should there be questions or issues. Although the primary responsibility is the three cities, again, spearheaded by Chief Plummer.
Oh,
Yep, sure.
so, Representative Malone was in, an earlier existence, the manager of the warming shelter, who is running it at the moment.
The name of the entity,
Evolution Leadership. We call them XL, East Coast. Yeah.
yeah, and they've run several warming centers throughout the state, and they were the successful bidders. They ran it last year, and the agreement was, a multi-year. We had the opportunity to renew it, for a subsequent year, rather than going, needing to go out to bid every year. We exercised that opportunity.
Okay. And how many days before tonight, last night, has it been opened?
Half a dozen.
Half a dozen, okay.
Could be five, but
No, but
my
I mean,
best recollection is a half a dozen.
very good, okay, thank you, my part.
As I said, I think, in terms of the financial thing, which you went kind of quickly through, first of all, it's always a good sign that we're working with, Community Action, because they have a lot of experience in this. So, and we have kind of a history of good collaboration with them and successful projects, so that's good news. But I think understanding how the grant funding is going, what the fiscal responsibility of each of your towns are, and what the county is, just when we bring this forward to the delegation in January, so they have a better idea how this works, because there are definitely a lot of moving parts going on.
And my intention is to, put that all in writing,
Yeah.
especially when I know the information regarding the bids and how successful we are in the grant. We should know that in the month of December, because the grant starts in January and goes to June. So, is that correct, Diane? It's January?
It starts February.
February, but we'll know pretty soon.
So it's great. I mean, that's good news, and I always like to Tom.
For people who don't know, Jess and I are on the board of Community Action Partnership, so we get to support the warming center twice.
Good, definitely good. Okay, with that, then we'll move on to item 10, which is to receive an update from the Special Committee for Long-Term Care in Strafford County, and I'll pass that to Representative William Taylor.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much about it because, at the last meeting, we've agreed to come forward with a couple of proposals, that we're working on. And we will present those proposals on January 9th. So I don't wanna say too much more in advance of that because, that would be a big meeting. I hope that other people might choose to attend. And do you think we could, I'm asking Representative Potenza, Kelly, do you think that we could have those proposals in writing in advance of the meeting?
January 9th?
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think that would be a great idea to get that out at a time. I don't really want to say more, but happy to take any questions.
Question?
I won't be there.
I'm just gonna throw a comment out there. The minutes from the last meeting, the nursing home meeting that Jan did are great. They really do. I mean, I think we're gonna get into proposals, but I think the foundational part of the financing is really important to understand. And I keep coming back to what is the county's obligation? I mean, this is non-negotiable. We have to pay this. So I think those minutes really did a great job of laying that down, because when we start to look at what the options are, we're gonna have to keep that in mind. Anything else? Representative Schmidt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I've been attending those, those meetings in person, except for last time when I was conflicted, and so I did attend online. So I would encourage the delegation members to read the minutes at the very least, because, the special committee obviously will have a recommendation when the process is over. But I encourage the members delegation members to inform themselves with regard to what the discussions are. Because, I think that, it's a very significant issue, a very significant vote. So I hope people are paying attention, and it would be good to see more than just my lonesome,
Mr. Chairman?
Will the committee be meeting again to at least review the initial part of the proposal before January 9th?
Don't have an answer to that.
I would hope a week ahead of time.
Okay, so stay tuned. And as I say, I'm mindful, you all are gonna have to go back to your other job, which is at Concord coming up, and we're gonna all get super, super, super busy in January. So, and we have the budget to do on this, so we'll try to work all this in.
And the subcommittees.
Which brings us to number 11. Is there any other business that may legally come before the executive committee? Representative Schmidt?
Well, I received a document, I would say about a week ago, regarding a lawsuit against the delegation. Is that something that we're gonna hear something about at this meeting?
Humbly, Mr. Chairman, I don't think there should be any discussion regarding lawsuits.
We cannot.
in a Public meeting.
Yeah, we are not allowed. I will just say you said all that can be said, and when it is completed, you'll know it's completed, and we can say, when we can say, we can say. Anything else that we can bring legally before the committee? All right, that brings us to my favorite thing. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by Representative Wall, seconded by Representative Schmidt. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Oh, it's unanimous. Thank you very much, and I'm glad we got through that quick.